Okay, the second of the two videos for today. I go for months without doing one and decide to do two in the same day. Go figure. All right. So anyway, for those of you who may be seeing my videos for the first time or seeing me for the first time, for that matter, and don't know much about me or why I do these things I do, um, it's sort of a therapy for me. It's a catharsis. I get things off my chest, out of my system, by telling you about them, and maybe I'll generate some thought by people who heretofore haven't given any thought to these topics I'm bringing up. They haven't looked any deeper than what they're told on TV or on the radio. So if any good comes out of this at all, maybe that will be it. It will give people pause for thought. I see things on the news, hear them on the radio, see them on my Facebook feed that just make me think. I look at them and I go, okay, I see what that person is saying, and I can understand why they might say that, but have they given any more thought to it? Have they looked any deeper than what they're going by in their statement they just posted? And a lot of times I don't think they have. Now, I could be wrong, but just based on my experience and what I've seen from other people and heard from other people, I just wonder if they give a lot of thought to what they're doing and saying sometimes. Unfortunately, and as someone who teaches in schools, I've seen this. People are not taught to think critically anymore. They're just taught to remember things. Here, memorize this date, memorize this place, this name, whatever it is. And there'll be a test on it later, and you're going to be expected to remember these things. And that may be good for a test you have coming up or something. It may help you get a good grade in school and move on to the next grade, et cetera, et cetera. Well, in the grander scheme of life, when you get out to the real world, being able to think is critical. That's why they call it critical thinking. Anyway, if people tell you things and expect you to do things based on what they're telling you, then it's absolutely important. It's essential. It's critical that you understand what they're asking, why they're asking, and what its potential consequences are. Think things through to their natural conclusions. I mean, it's not that hard to do if you're willing to try. Unfortunately, the last two, three, maybe more generations of Americans have not been taught critical thinking, so that when someone like I or some of you come along and try to explain these things to them, let's carry that thought out to its logical conclusion. They look at us like we're the crazy ones. Well, what are you? You're just making that up. Oh, you're crazy. No, that could never happen. Blah blah. Conspiracy nut. That's another one. Anytime you question the stated government or media narrative, why you must be one of those tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy nuts. Now, I suppose I could make another video entirely based on all the conspiracies that we've been going on about for the past 15, 20 or more years that have actually proven to be true. And of course, nobody ever comes back and apologizes later and goes, "Oh, gee, I'm really sorry I called you that, Floyd. It turns out you were right." Nah, that never happens. They just wait for the next time you question something so they can call you a nut again. That's fine. If I'm really worried about that, I wouldn't make these videos, and I wouldn't have a blog, and I wouldn't post the things that I post. So that really doesn't bother me. It is an annoyance in the sense that if they really gave it any thought, they would see that there's a potential that I'm right, just based on past experience, based on history, based on what we know governments are capable of doing. But, again, at the very least, they could come back later and apologize and go, you were right. But, okay, whatever. Well, today's latest is, and this is a continuance of an ongoing issue for the past several years, is terrorism. And, of course, we've just had the more recent attacks in England, and everybody's got their theories about who's doing it, who's behind it, what's causing it, who's, ultimately what's the root cause of all this. But when it comes to a particular group like ISIS, Everybody wonders, well, how does ISIS happen? How did group people like this come along? ISIS has no country. ISIS has no manufacturing base. They have no factories to produce anything. So where does ISIS get the tools of their trade? Where do the weapons come from? The transportation, the trucks, the jeeps, the stuff. We've seen the videos. We've seen the photographs. They've got buku equipment. But the question you have to ask is, one, where are they getting it from? And two, how can they afford it? If they have no country, no manufacturing base, and no means of support, where are they getting this stuff? Now, some of you aren't out there, and I just know it. I know it without even seeing you. Are your knees jerking already? And you're just, oh, you crazy conspiracy. Now, why are you always asking questions like that? Well, I ask questions like that because I want to know. Because the truth is important to me, not the varnished truth, not the truth as our government tells us or as the news media tells us. I mean the real truth. And because I want the real truth, I ask questions. Probing questions, hard questions, questions that should be asked, but most people don't want to ask. So, sue me. I like to ask questions. So when it comes to ISIS, you have to ask yourself, where is this stuff coming from? Well, let's look at a recent example here. And I'm hoping this is going to work right. Bear with me. This thing with the videos, I'm still not as good at it as some of you are. I hit the screen share, and that is not at all what it's supposed to do. Okay, that's not working right. And let me try this again. Application window. Here we go. That's the one I was looking for. See, I can be taught. Anyway, okay. Office of Inspector General, United States Department of Defense. Well, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because this shows how many billions of dollars worth of arms were given over to these terrorist organizations by your government and my government. That's right. Our government did this. Now, they will tell you in other documents that they claim these weapons were lost. They were just misplaced. Okay, well, let's take them at their word. Let's say that the U.S. Army, the United States Armed Forces, just lost track of $1 billion worth of weapons and equipment. Really? Are you going to believe that? Do you believe that our U.S. military is that incompetent? Do you really want to believe that? Now, that's what you have to ask yourself. Is our U.S. military that incompetent that they can lose $1 billion worth of arms and ammo and equipment? Now, again, you don't have to take my word for it. I'll put this up here for a reason. U.S. military sent over $1 billion worth of light weapons to multiple armed groups in Iraq. Now, the Army will tell you they lost it, right? Now, if you want to believe that, again, that's fine. You believe whatever you want to believe. But I'm not buying it. I know where that stuff's going. We've seen too many examples of it. Our CIA and other organizations in the West need for you to believe that there's this ongoing war with terror. And in order for that to be believable, they have to arm some people and convince these people to attack those in the West and keep doing it. Now, I'm not excusing the people who are doing the actual shooting and killing and beheading and whatever. They're wrong too. But they would not have these tools if somebody weren't giving them to them. You can't be living as a desert nomad with no means of support, and all of a sudden you've got an M16 or an AK-47 or a rocket launcher or an armored Humvee. This stuff just doesn't pop up out of nowhere. Somebody's providing this stuff. Now, you might say, well, Floyd, this is crazy talk. Why would they do that? Why would our CIA, why would Mossad, why would MI6 give stuff like this to terrorists? It's embarrassing, actually, that I have to explain this to some people. Based on history alone, if you pay any attention to history, you should know this. But most people don't, so here we go. We have been meddling, the United States has been meddling in the Middle East since at least the end of World War II. We have more military bases in the Middle East than the Middle Eastern countries do. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why do we have that many military bases over there? There's got to be some sort of end game here. And it's not, these bases haven't just popped up in the last 5 or 6 years. They've been there for a while. When Trump recently launched a bunch of cruise missiles in the Middle East over towards Syria, oh, you guys were just cheering. I could hear you. Yeah, go get America, waving that flag and saluting, playing martial music. Let's go blow something up. Nobody asked why we're doing it. Now, we know what the news told us. We know what the government told us, but we also saw other reports on the internet from reliable sources, people who were actually there, telling us that, no, Syria didn't launch this gas attack. Syria wasn't behind that. But that's not important. What is important is that you believe they were, because we were able to launch over 50 cruise missiles. Well, guess what? Now that we've launched those cruise missiles, guess what has to happen? We have to replace them. Somebody is making a ton of money off of this never-ending war on terror. Now, Dwight Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, World War II hero, Allied Supreme Commander, warned us about the military-industrial complex, and it has come to pass. And you say, but Floyd, well, all right, I can understand how somebody who at Raytheon or Boeing or somebody that makes jets and missiles and bombs would want to, see this happen. But what about our elected representatives? Don't you think they'd step in and try to stop this stuff? Have you ever heard of lobbying? Does that ring a bell with you at all? Lobbying, lobbyists, K Street in Washington, D.C. Have you ever noticed how a lot of our representatives go into Congress, Senate, House of Representatives, like you and me, just regular schmoes working a job, and within 2, 3, 4 years, they're millionaires? They're not getting that rich off of their salary. Now, I know you don't want to hear this. I know it's hard to believe. I know it goes against your worldview. It's unpatriotic. I shouldn't be talking this way about my country, blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all. But if you care about the truth at all, you have to look at this stuff, and you have to ask questions, and you have to demand answers. Not the same old crap we've been getting, not more hearings where they're going to ask a bunch of silly questions that get nowhere, and no one's going to be indicted, no one's going to be arrested, no one's going to be put on trial, and certainly nobody's going to be held accountable. And this has been going on for years. This is not new. This isn't just something that cropped up under Obama, and it's not something that just started once Trump got inaugurated. This goes back many decades, people. Republicans and Democrats. But see, you're sitting there listening now saying, oh yeah, see, those Republicans, those stupid warmongering Republicans, but then when Obama was dropping more bombs in the Middle East than any president before or since, you go, well, we have to. Peace, democracy. I mean, come on, guys. You keep doing it, and they keep doing what they're doing, and they keep getting away with it because you allow them to get away with it, because you don't really care about the truth. You care about your political party. You care about making those other guys look stupid. But when you and your guys do the same damn thing, why, see, we have a good reason for it. We're better. We're more moral. We're more ethical. Our reasons for doing it are better. And the parade goes merrily along, and nothing changes. And so why do we have these terrorists? How do these people living over there in the Middle East in caves and mountains, desert-dwelling nomads who have no country, who have no manufacturing base to make anything, get all this equipment? Somebody's giving it to them. And they're giving it to them for a reason. Because if our government can convince you that we need to stay in a constant state of war, I mean a shooting war. I don't mean just, have the the band ready to strike up a martial air and get ready for a parade. I mean, guns loaded and safety's off and ready to go. Then there's no need for more weapon systems. There's no need for more military bases. There's no need for more new battleships or warships or warplanes or tanks. You see how this works? Somebody is making money. Follow the money. Where is it going? Who benefits from this? There it is. Who benefits from this war on terror? Now, I'm not saying that there aren't terrorists out there and that they aren't killing people. What I'm saying is they wouldn't be able to get away with what they're doing if there wasn't at least some little wink and nudge on this part of the West, the people who have the means to stop it, if they didn't want it to happen. Harsh reality, people. I mean, it brings me no joy to say these things. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel like I'm getting one over on you or I'm making you look stupid. That's not the purpose of this. I simply want you to think. And if you think it through, as I have done, and you reach the same conclusions I have based on factual information, not just some knee-jerk emotional reaction, then we've got to start demanding that the people who are doing this crap be held responsible. Not just the people wearing the towels on their heads over in the Middle East and cutting off people's heads and stoning women to death, but the guys over here in the three-piece suits who allow this to happen. Something's got to be done. And until you stand up and stop voting for these milquetoast pieces of crap who will sell their mother's gold teeth to make some money, to enhance their power, to enhance their bank account, nothing's going to change. And you know who they are, but you keep voting for them because they're your guy. They're in your party. And they say the right things to make those guys in the other party look bad. And that's what really matters, is making those other guys look bad. The truth, then, we might get to that eventually. But in the meantime, if I can make the Republicans look bad, or if I can make those Democrats look bad, that's what really counts. Do you want it to stop? Do you want it to end? It's up to you.